What's up guys, and welcome back to another T-Post development video. In this video I'll be going over my basics of building my little placeholder assets for a town. Essentially what I want to do is build like a little area, a little road sort of, for example, with a few buildings on it, and just really see like the total composition of like what this game can look like. Fill in all the gaps, you know, get the grass in there, get some trees, get a few objects, and then essentially once I'm happy with all of that, then I can expand out from there. So my current thinking is what I'm going to do is I'll have like, for placeholder buildings, just for like a bit of roleplay, I'll chuck down these sort of scaffolding with tarpaulins on them, and this will essentially indicate like this is a building in progress. So what I'll do is I'll drive up to it. I've actually got a placeholder car which I'll show at the end of this episode, and I'll sort of say, alright, today we're working on like a hotel or a warehouse or whatever, like, you know, whatever is on a road. And I'm also going to be planning to build these sort of roadworks assets, so I can put down like cones and a few barriers and a work ahead sign, sort of going, okay, the road's closed here because, you know, it's currently a work in progress. So that's the general idea. Anyway, time to charge up and get into my hard hat. So, so the charge up was actually a bit shorter this time because I kind of ruined my throat for about a week. Last time, so yeah, gotta watch out for that. Yeah, let's get started. Okay guys, so as of late I've been working on a few little assets here. The idea behind these guys that I'm making is I wanted to make little placeholder objects that go around my level, where I can essentially be like, alright, here's a scaffolding, it's like a work in progress building. This green area will be like a tarpaulin with like work in progress on it, sort of like imagine like a real building was like going up, right, in a location, and they've got the scaffolding everywhere, but you don't know quite what it's going to be. This is sort of meant to be the same sort of thing, a little bit of, I don't know, roleplay or something like that. So my idea is I want to build a level, and I'll build a little like miniature map design, and I'm going to place these around in the areas where I want buildings to be. And actually over here as well, I've got a bunch of road signs for end of road and roadworks, and a cone, and one of these little plastic barrier things. And what I essentially want to do is, on the roads too, you know, what do you do when your road just like abruptly ends and there's nothing there? Well, you chuck a bit of roadworks down, right? Because the road's still being worked on, so that's the idea behind this. So yeah, you'll get to the end of the road and you'll get a sign like this. It's a quick way to flip this. I bet this is not going to flip, just to annoy me. Oh wow, just like that, you know, you get like these two areas pointed in there like this, and then you might get a sign up behind it. Like, oh bro, the road's closed, no going forward from this point. You know, something like this. Yeah, just I don't know, I wanted to give my level a bit of flavor and try to, right from the bat, try to make it feel like a world, because all I've got at the moment is a dairy. So, yeah, I'll just be going through my processes of getting all this into the engine, and what I want to use it for, and a few little features I'm using inside of the engine, with this stuff. No doubt there's already a bunch of issues I have not realized, and I'm going to let you know what they are in just a second. Oh, actually, already speaking of issues, I already came across one. When I was building scaffolding, objects like walls and things are very obvious where you tile them. Because with a wall, it's kind of just flat on each edge, and then you click it into each other like Lego pieces, like I was mentioning before. But with scaffolding, you kind of get this issue where if I tile this across, right? Look at this, I've got like 2 bars inside each other. That's not very good. That's a wasted bunch of polygons right there. I could use that for, I don't know, little garden gnomes or something. But I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about right now. But essentially, a little solution I came up with was, what if I just delete all the bars I'm not using, and I can just reuse the ones that are already there, and they will just slot nicely into one I've got, right, like this. So let's duplicate this over here real quick and flip it around. And just this thing, it's really hard to see your keyboard when there's a big fat microphone in your face. Oh my god, please just do it for me. Thank you. Wow. Well, good. Alright, let's pretend this is working. Let's just shift it across. It would not work like this in Engine. And look at that. They just click together, and I haven't got any wasted polygons. It all looks correct. The two scaffoldings are connected together, and no wasted polygons. Great. Anyway, boring. Next bit. Alright, guys, time to start work. So, what I've got here is this little roadwork scene I've been working on here. I'm trying to not move my camera around a whole lot. Apparently some people were getting sick, which wasn't good. So here's an issue I've been coming across. Just show that, you know, not all game development can be butterflies and rainbows. Sometimes it can be quite tedious and frustrating. So what I've got here is my light is coming down from this here, if you can see my mouse, coming down from this direction, right? And I've got these big planes here, and what these are, this is meant to be like a tarpaulin or something like that. This big square mesh you see here. The light's coming down, and it should be hitting this and drawing like a big shadowy square, right? But it's not doing that. And the reason being is, most meshes in games are actually only one-sided. So if I come up to these pipes, you can see that you cannot actually see the inside of these pipes when I'm clipping inside them, right? They're just completely invisible. And the reason being is, we actually turn off double-sided rendering on most objects because it's a lot cheaper to not render stuff you never see. Because how often are you looking inside like a little tiny pipe like this? It just never really happens. However, in this case, it creates bad issues because, you know, I've got a big plane here and it's only one-sided. Let's check out this other side. There we go. It's completely invisible, right? There's meant to be a big square there. But because of that, we're not getting any shadow because, whoa. Sorry about that. We've got no mesh for it to actually like hit against and draw a shadow. So a solution I'm going to have to do is I'm going to grab this mesh, duplicate it, and rotate it around to face this other direction too. As doing that is a lot cheaper than making my entire mesh double-sided. Making the entire mesh double-sided would of course be the very lazy, easy option, but it would also increase the cost of my mesh. I don't know if it's double, but you know, I'm rendering twice as much, which isn't so good. It is a bunch of irrelevant lighting information that I'd just be pointlessly calculating for no reason. So, just to show that the shadows work from another direction, let's turn this light around, and bam, as you see right there, look at that, we've got our plane here, and it is leaving a lovely, nice square shadow, and that's exactly what we want. Sadly, that's not what we're getting now, so I'm going to be jumping back into Maya and fixing that up. I'll come back in soon and show you what I'm doing next. Alright, I've just re-imported these back in. Oh, my camera went a bit fuzzy there. Just re-imported these back in, and as we can see right off the bat already, look at this. Oh, we got our shadows actually appearing behind the objects, which is absolutely fantastic. The shadows look pretty bad on these smaller things here. Pipes, goddamn, learn to talk, Russell. But, you know what, whatever. I'm just gonna leave that, and we'll figure out what it is later on. I can manage, I can deal with some choppy shadows. Alright, so next up, let's color these bad boys. Alright guys, just gotta quickly chuck this little bit in here, just to, you know, show some more game development failures. I just wanna have some fun, man, I just wanna make some things, but I continuously get in my own way. Check this out. So, over here we've got our objects in the scene. We've got this little scaffolding set up here. And the problem is, I haven't done something inside of my 3D program called combining it, so every single one of these objects is actually a separate object, and that means these all have all their own individual information. So this object itself here is actually not just one object, but like 30 objects. So now I've got to go back in, combine all this, recenter its pivot, and do all the riveting stuff. Its pivot being this little point here that it like rotates from. It's just another tedious thing that you come across in game development. Well, any 3D. No, this is a game development thing. Yeah, so if any of you guys are, you know, aspiring game developers and you come across this all the time, know that somebody that's been doing this for nearly 10 years now is still doing it. So there you go, it's a fun little fact there for you. So I'm gonna go fix that now. Woohoo! Alright, I'm doing this re-import process now. I've combined all these objects together, but there's just more problems, guys. Like, can't a girl just have fun, you know? Like, look, check this out. Over here, I've imported my object, and here's the actual mesh, and here's the group I was importing it in. And essentially, what this means is, I just want this, but I'm getting this as well. And an equivalent thing to compare this to is, imagine you've got like a folder of good images. Now, don't jump to that folder right away, but now imagine every single picture in that folder had its own folder. That's essentially what's happening here. So now I gotta go back in and fix all of that. Essentially just whittle everything down to one object and bring it back in. Anyway, you know, everything in game development is not riveting and fun. So anyway, I was just going over that real quick. Next we'll actually get to coloring these things. So anyway, I'll jump back in a second. Alright, here we go. We have our assets in the scene. I've gone through the process of setting up all the materials and attaching them to all the correct objects, so I can skip that phase and show you sort of what I'm doing right here. So, what I've been working on is just getting all these pieces in. So as you can see here, I've got a little tile of scaffolding that I can sort of just keep tiling around like this as long as I want. Look at that, I've got a big tiled scaffolding piece there. Anyway, it's a bit ridiculous. This I want to use for, my plan is to build like a little town, and I'm gonna chuck these sort of scaffolded areas as work in progress buildings. So instead of me telling you in future videos, hey, see that invisible space there, that's gonna have a school or whatever in it, instead we'll have these like placeholder scaffolding areas to just sort of block out the area where they're going to be going. As for these upper bits, these are going to be my roadwork signs. So if I've got a road that is sort of finishing up and I haven't finished the content on the other side of it yet, I'm going to place these down in a way just like you would in real life. You know, the road's under construction, so a bit of role play in there. So I wanted to show off a few little features I've got going on with these guys actually, because it works out quite well. So none of these again are UV unwrapped. They're all just procedurally done. What that means is, let me grab a bunch of these and sort of show you so you can visually see it. As you see, I tile these along, right? And notice how the texture like stays in the same spot, but it sort of pans over the location of the mesh. That's essentially what I'm talking about when I'm talking about this procedural texturing. And this means I can model an asset and just plonk it in here straight away. Now there's a few other interesting features that come with this, and I've got these applied to many of the other things in this scene. But as you see here down at the bottom, I've got a bit of moss and wear just being like, you know, a dark gradient going from top to bottom. As these objects come off the ground, you'll see that the moss disappears, but as they get closer to the ground, you know, where they intersect, they will always have moss. So it's just a quick way to sort of integrate them into the scene a little bit better, because is there a quick way to show you guys what this would look like without it? It's my road barrier. Here we go. So if I didn't have any of this moss, what's a quick way to just turn everything off? I don't want to have to go back and do this again. There we go. You see it just kind of like sits on the... Oh, wait, let me turn off this other bit too. Weird opacity. I don't know why it's going like this. But as you see, it kind of just sits on the ground a bit weird, right? It looks like it's like floating in space. And... oh, jeez, I don't know why that popped me all the way over there. But it just doesn't look right. Especially like you get this like... bright orange, and then it kind of just hits the tarmac, which is dark, and then just goes wing, and it like kind of cuts. It just looks like really fake. So the idea of these little features I added was just to help integrate it into the scene a little bit better. Another thing I've got with this well-positioned tiling is, what's a easy one to look at it on? Let's look at it on the sign actually. What is this called? Like sorry guys, 1 second. End of road. Here we go. Okay. So instead of me having to make a texture of actual like wear going over the top of this, like per triangle or per sign or whatever, this is all again procedural. These triangles here are actually little like low poly models that I've just put on the sign. What this allows me to do is essentially I've ran a texture over the top of it, and look at this. I can just be like, alright, I want like these to be heavily worn signs like that. And again with these guys, tell them around, and look at that, the wear is global, right? So no matter where I put it in the scene, it should work. And that's the other good bit. You get these signs next to each other, and they both look completely different, which is great. But the wear was rather strong on that, so I turned it off. But yeah, all these assets as you see from the back as well, here, they've all got this sort of moss layer. And it just like, it makes it work a lot easier, so I can sort of adjust the heights of these guys, and it should just like work, right? Like, they both look like, look at that, like they've got the same amount of moss, it's not stretched upwards or anything. Oh, sorry about clipping through stuff, guys. And, you know, it just works. I don't have to make multiple models of different heights, it all just kind of works like that. So, you know, Bethesda style. So, yeah, look at that. Cool. God damn, I don't know why it keeps freezing like that. So, yeah, that's essentially what I've been working on. Got a little scaffolding here with, you know, a little wood and so on. And, okay. So, I'm gonna cut it here, but first off, I want to show a little feature that I've been adding, and I'll be right back. One sec. Let me get my keys to my car. Oh, everything's breaking. Oh, okay, sorry. Yep, here we go. I've got a car now. This is a car my brother programmed up for me. He's done a few little tricks and bits on it. Yeah, I can drive around the scene now and actually take a look at what it looks like, as if I was playing a real video game. God damn, dude. This is my interface I wanted to go with. It looks real good, right? Well, anyway, this will be appearing in more future episodes. I'm gonna leave it there. Next up, we'll be building some roads, I guess, because we've kind of just got a scene where, well, look at it, it's beautiful. A whole lot of tarmac here, riveting stuff. So yeah, cool. Alright, next episode, making roads. See you then.